Get ready to feel the fury. Praetorian Fury from Crimson Shadow Technologies.
That's right, guys. Today I'll be taking a look at the Praetorian Fury from Valaverse, part of the Crimson Shadow Technologies subwave. This is a continuation of Series 5 and is the latest iteration of the Praetorian figure that we have seen the black and red version. There's been the Elite Praetorian, there's the white Praetorian Wraith, and now the Praetorian Fury that is a deluxe figure and comes with a whole lot of extra armament, which is really cool. So much so that I decided to just kit out two figures because my very first YouTube video was this guy right here. And so since they are the same figure, and I wanted to show that yes, the weapons will fit onto this, to an older figure, and just to save on time as well. So I get it. Some people might complain that I'm not showing the actual weapons on the actual figure, but hopefully you will forgive me for trying to be expedient. So without further ado, let's look at the box. Like I said, 2 trays worth of stuff comes in this thing. Artwork on the side, very cool. We have a diorama shot. And then there's a file card. And then you come with 3 action points and more artwork. So I honestly, there's so much stuff in here. I think we should have gotten another action point, but why quibble, I guess. Maybe it's because of the price. Maybe the higher the price, the more action points you get. So he comes with, or it comes with all of the armament. Obviously, this doesn't come with 2 figures, but comes with 2 flamethrowers, 2 Gatling guns with the backpack and hoses and conduit and belts and spent casings and blast effects and all that kind of stuff. So you're seeing most of what it comes with right here, and I'll break it down and we'll look at each piece. But it also comes with one stand with black and translucent green, which I really quite like this logo for. Very G.I. Joe-esque. Comes with a battle rifle, bullpup design. Doesn't come with a blast effect. I just put that on there. I'm not a big fan of this particular rifle. It does look cool, but I'm really not crazy with the angle of the grips because the hands on the robots it doesn't really fit very well. And I mean, it does have a drop down magazine, and the bullpup design, while in real life I kind of like bullpups, you definitely need to drop out the magazine, put it into the robot's hand, and then add the magazine because you're going to have a fit getting this thing in. But there is a lot of detail that goes with it. I'll just get my one design quibble out of the way. I'm not a fan of the neon green, but I get it. They probably were just looking for something to kind of set it apart, what have you, but I'm just not a fan of the neon magazines. So, and I do wish that it had come with one of these battle rifles because this thing is awesome. Love this thing. Comes with the Elite Praetorian, but not with the Fury. So I definitely wish I'd gotten another one of these because it fits better and it looks cooler, in my opinion, of course. And it comes with 2, 4, 6, 8 hands. So we have the trigger finger hands are on there. We have fists, left and right. And then we have left and right cupping hands. And then we have the left and right C grip hands, or just gripping hands, whatever you want to say. So that is basically what it comes with. There's some issues on a whole. I mean, with I guess I've had some trouble getting all of this on, and there's some things about it that I like and things that I don't like. So let's just start with the machine guns here, okay? It looks cool once you get it set up, but it takes for dang ever to get it set up. And the weight kind of drags the arms down over time. And other people have probably pointed this out too. The slots under the arms, probably not the best design for this because over time it's going to it's just not going to retain. The retention's not going to be there over time. But does it look cool? Absolutely. You know, I like the spent shell casing effect that we've seen before in some other maybe weapons packs. The Bone Collector version 2, I think. He comes with a machine gun, comes with the Gatling gun, and has the same kind of spent brass casings being ejected. These two large blast effects are probably what weighs it down the most, and I don't quite know why they're so large. I mean, yes, they're big and dramatic and everything, but you could probably have gotten away with a smaller one and not have as much weight. And you're definitely going to need to spread out the legs and kind of squat him down a bit to kind of help balance the weights. Otherwise, he's going to tip forward or tip back. So this is kind of the position that I have found works best with this figure for all of this armament. So, but he does come with these blast effects that, like I said, I feel like they're a little too muted and too big. To be honest with you, they carry too much weight. So I think something, I mean, you can get away with something smaller like this. You know, it might not be as dramatic, but it fits and it's not going to carry as much weight. Or you can use a smoke effect. And these are, of course, these are Valaverse. I'm pretty sure the smoke effect, I hope the smoke effect isn't Marvel Legends. Maybe it is. But, you know, if you have any of this stuff laying around, you know, you don't have to use these, but it does come with these. I just think they're too big. So you can do that. And I did have some problems with this muzzle here, kind of being a little cockeyed. I had to heat it up and pull it off to try and reseat it, and I just haven't glued it back yet. So let's get this backpack off and we'll break it down, get this guy out of the way. So now let me just say that this did not come broken. It did not come like this. I did this myself. So it was not seated properly. It was a little off center. So it was kind of had, I guess, one problem. So I heated it up, popped it off, and I just need to glue it back on there so that it is straight. So anyway, that's my my way of correcting it. So anyway, very cool. I know I use that word a lot, so much it probably has no meaning anymore. But barrels rotate, 3 barrels. Now this is the part where I do quite like the neon green highlights. I don't like the neon green magazines, but I don't mind the neon green here. Don't know what it represents, but obviously here's the slot, you know, the elongated peg to go into the slot, and then you have the port for blast effects, and then where is it? There it is. The belt. So you have the belt, and what can I say about this belt? The belt doesn't fit very well, and I've found that to be true on Bone Collector 2, and I wish they would redesign this thing, either redesign the ports or make the ends a little wider. Now this end is okay. It fits a bit better. I would recommend putting that with the wider end into the bottom of the machine gun. And then you have this end that is just a little bit thinner. Kind of see, I don't know if that's supposed to be a cartridge or what have you, but where it ports in, you can tell that I've already used some handy tack. And let me adjust my lighting here. And to try and get it to seat a little bit better, because the opening is just a little too wide, and so there's just not good retention, and even with the handy tack it's not great. So you may have to, you know, use some super glue, permanently glue it in there, or you can do the handy tack thing. So there's that, and it's just kind of, I would probably, well, and you can see it's already put the belt in last, you know, get the Gatling gun onto the figure, backpack onto the figure, and then throw the belt in at the last. And especially if you're a photographer, be prepared for some frustration with this. So you're just going to have to find a workaround. Does it look cool? Yeah, it looks cool. I like the look of it. You know, these definitely a nice looking weapon, and the belts look detailed and everything, but we've seen them before. New backpack here with some OD green on it, and drum mags, I guess. some rivets and everything, and it fits fairly snugly on the figure, on the actual figure. It doesn't fit very well on the Elite. This is, it doesn't have as, it's a bit looser on this figure than the actual Fury figure, so just kind of keep that in mind. But, you know, if you have one of these, you know, hey, you can spread out, spread the wealth. That's what I plan to do. So that is the twin Gatling guns. Then you go to the flamethrower. But before I get to the flamethrower, let's talk about the energy shields. So he has two energy shields as well as these blast effects, or perhaps you know, ricochet effects. You know, they're taking fire, coming under fire, and these are, you know, bullets bouncing off these energy shields. One is just a little bit bigger than the other one, and you can port them around on the upper arms, lower arms, and the back. And these are very sharp plastic, so I would be careful getting, if they fall on the floor, make sure you are careful and aren't walking around barefoot, because just plugging these things in almost breaks the skin. These things are pretty sharp, so just be careful, kids. Don't want to see you get punctured. There we go. So I do like the design of them. Very high tech. So that's very well, I keep saying cool. Very neat. It's neat. So there you go. That gives you a little better view of the design, everything. So yeah, comes with that. And then you have our flamethrowers, which with the blast effects. Now this figure is a little loose in the arm or arms. So there are, I mean, there are positions like, I don't know if there's like some kind of ratchet in the arms or something, but just letting it sit for a second. It's trying to straight arm. For a while, it can hold it, but eventually it will drift down. Or if you have it at a lower position, you can tell the weights. So, yeah, just different positions will hold it better. So you just have to play around with it and find what works with your figure. I definitely prefer the flamethrowers to the Gatling guns, without a doubt, because you have an extra handle. So let's get the blast effects off here. So these blast effects do come with the figure, and I quite like these blast effects better than the ones that came with Blowtorch on the classified. So, and I'm going to do a little comparison here in a little bit with that Blowtorch. So stick around for that. But I definitely like, these are pretty cool. I would say they are heavier than, this is one of the blast effects for Blowtorch. This looks more like flame, a little more detail. This one's a bit more translucent, but it feels thicker and it feels sturdier, so it's got a more rigid. And I do believe that with the peg being of a harder plastic, it will not droop as much. Now, the weight of it may carry the arm down, but it's not going to bend right there as bad as, say, this one will. So there's definitely more flexibility with this one. So there's pros and cons, I think, to both designs. I think I prefer this one over the classified one. And I do like the translucentness of it, if that's a word. So you can use different lighting and everything, and probably, you know, it'll look more like real flame. So let's get the backpack off of here. And that backpack, both backpacks fit very well on this figure. There's really good tension, really good retention, I should say. So, but I'm not crazy about the neon green again on the canisters. But has the pegs for the hoses, and definitely some good flexibility to the tubing. Very much appreciate that. Very easy to pose, and you can plug in either end to either the pegs on the backpack, the canisters, or the flamethrowers themselves. So yeah, very nice. Let's take a look at this. And And I like that they're small, compact units. You have something extra to handle, to grab onto, which is great. So you're not just fighting against gravity with, like, say, with the Gatling guns. So you can actually hang on to it, even if this kind of works itself loose a little bit. So, and I like the position of the peg. I think that's great. I think that's a great, you know, it's not run underneath here or anything like that. Just, yeah. So black plastic with some OD green paint on it, and pretty good detail, I have to say. So I'm definitely liking these particular weapons. I definitely like the flamethrowers. So, and again, if you watch my blowtorch video, you know I was a bit of a pyro as a kid. So, you know, hey, old habits die hard, I guess. So we just get 2 of those. Yeah, very nice. And let's see, since I got the blowtorch blast effect, let's see if it fits. Okay, yeah, it's not as solid. I could, yeah, it'll do in a pinch if you wanted to try it. The Battle of the Flamethrowers. This one's a little bit better. This is probably lighter and won't drag your arm down as much. So if you have blowtorch, if you're into both classified and action force, you know, this effect may work just fine too. So onto the figure. And I did have a couple of problems with the figure. Nothing too major, but there are some loose joints, mainly in the hip. But let me get these magazines out. So you have the holster here for these magazines, and then, oh, I forgot, same pistol that comes with the other Praetorians with a little neon green highlight. I definitely like the design of this thing. Just, it looks serious, like some kind of, you know, competition gun or super tactical gun. You know, I don't know, very futuristic. Definitely like the detail. So, and it just ports right there in this holster that is glued onto the right leg. All right, so onto the figure and articulation and all of that stuff. All the stuff that we're used to seeing and hearing me talk about. So, very good detail, kind of insect-like in a way. It reminds me kind of one of the Avas from Neon Genesis Evangelion. So if you're into anime, you know what I'm talking about. Looks like the Ava 1, I think. But definitely, it's just a different paint job, same head sculpt as all the other Praetorians. And he looks down that far, or it. I don't know. Is he a he? I guess it could be he. If there's, you could treat it like Iron Man armor or something, body armor. And this neck kind of floats a little bit. It doesn't. You don't get much range of motion, extra range of motion from it. There's good diaphragm cut, so good range of motion there. Maybe a little loose for my taste. Not too bad, but it definitely moves probably a little too easily. So when you're trying to get the arms positioned, you're fighting the torso, maybe in fighting the hips and that sort of thing. So it's a little frustrating getting this video together and trying to find a way to do this expediently. Was a bit frustrating. This isn't my first take, let me just say that. So butterfly joints, you saw me do, very good. Maybe a little loose. Arms go all the way around. I think Bobby B pointed out that this is the first iteration where you can pop the arms off without much trouble, and looks like Bobby Val is designing some figures to be able to interchange parts and everything. But Bobby B, if I recall correctly, and Bobby, if you're watching by some miracle, let me know if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you had some problems with the arm after you put it back in, so it was a little more loose. So after seeing that, I decided I'm not doing that. So T-pose is about right there. The shoulder armor is affixed to the bicep portion. I think it might be glued on, near as I can tell. I don't think it's one piece. Maybe it is, but I'm not going to fool with it. But you have bicep swivel, okay, and double jointed pinless elbows, and pretty good. Very fluid, not too loose. The underarm ports are decent, but I think over time you're going to have to probably glue something in there or put something in there to retain whatever weapon you choose. Wrists go around, and I think they're all vertical hinged, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, these are, and vertical, vertical. I think we got the fists are horizontal. So yeah, and the detail's really good. If you watch my Elite Praetorian, you probably heard me gushing about the figure. I know it was my first video and the lighting's kind of dark, but I definitely like all of the detail that goes into this thing. So it's definitely a very good looking figure. So much better than the bats, even though I quite like the bats. I think this one's just a step above. And something about the OD green just makes it look more serious, I suppose. It has pretty good paint, little neon down here. I don't mind that too much. You have the Crimson Shadow logo there. That turned out really well. Some, some black paint, some neon paint, and some OD green paint. So, good, pretty good waist articulation. Lower waist. You can go all the way around just about, and he can look down. If you accentuate or activate your torso, all of the lower and upper torso. And then we come to the part that I had the worst problem with, and it's the hips. Now, I actually went ahead and the hip area is definitely loose in here. So particularly on the left leg. So much so that I already went ahead and put in some Mod Podge into the joint. You can probably see it there, because I couldn't, well, I was just having a really hard time getting this figure to stay in position with all of the firearms, all of the weight of the blast effects and everything. It just wanted to keep moving forward. So I put some Mod Podge in there to kind of stiffen it up a bit, and I'm probably going to do another pass. It does have drop down hips to help with the holster for the mag holster kind of gets in the way, so you can't get good splits. You can get a better split on the right leg than the left because of this particular holster kind of gets in the way, but he kicks up very far. And before I put the Mod Podge in, this leg would just drift down. So definitely some looseness in that hip right there, that ball joint right there. And there's a bicep swivel that's being hidden by the armor plating. A bit stiff on the left and a bit better on the right. So, yep. So probably going to have to do a little work on this leg. I may even have to take it off and kind of heat it up and then do some more Mod Podge onto the joint to get it to stay where I want it to. Knees kick back that far. Some of the designs kind of, I question, like there's this little nubbin here that if it wasn't there, you'd probably get a little more range of motion. Hopefully you can see that. Probably go back a little further. So, there's some little design pieces, elements here that I'm kind of like, why didn't they smooth that out a little bit? Why is that there? And same way on the right leg too. I mean, it's still pretty good. It's not bad range of motion by any means, but pretty fluid on the knees, I have to say. Left is a little looser, right's a little tighter. But isn't that how it goes? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. And then there's the no boot swivel, but there is an ankle swivel right here, and pretty good range of motion. But you need to point the toe, and this is another thing that I wondered why. I think this whole section right there probably should go, because it locks into place or kind of gets in the way of this lower shin armor, the shin plating here, and it looks like it's supposed to kind of slide right in, like that's a slot, but it limits the toe articulation or the foot articulation. So I think if it was gone, you probably get more range of motion. The toes would come up a little higher, but on the whole, I mean, he points his toes very well, and you can get a little side to side, a little ankle rocker, Let's try the right. Yep. So there you go. Okay, guys. So that is the Praetorian Fury. Fighting him, getting all this stuff on him, definitely kind of elicited a little fury of my own. So I think he probably lives up to the name. He'll probably cause a little fury in your life, but on a whole, is a solid figure, and it's a pretty good. You know, I mean, the design and everything, and the weapons and everything that you get is fairly nice. I had a little trouble with some loose joints, so that's about the only thing. I'm going to give this guy a warp factor of 9. You know, even though I'm having to kind of tweak the the figure a little bit here and there, everything else has turned out fairly well. Do I think this belt, I hope, eventually gets redesigned? That would be fantastic. And you know, I'm going to have to do maybe a little more modification on this particular backpack for the Gatling gun. But the flamethrowers look fantastic. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you want, I've got a little bonus at the end. I'm going to be talking about about blowtorch, so stick around. Okay, guys. So here is blowtorch with the Praetorian Fury blowtorch flamethrower, and this is the tubing that goes onto the Praetorian Fury flamethrower, and it fits just fine onto the peg on the back of blowtorch's backpack. And he can hold a weapon, or maybe it's not considered a weapon, more of a tool. Now you will have to kind of position him a little bit to kind of distribute the weight, and mine in particular kind of has the extra weight of the blast effect will drag the arm down a little bit. So this is about where I can get him. So if you are interested, if you have that figure and you're curious about the Praetorian Fury and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to swap that out because you're unhappy with the blowtorch that blowtorch comes with, this thing right here, that's a nice workaround. And if you're a customizer, maybe you can strip the paint off of it and paint it yellow so it matches. You can also throw in the neon green backpack if you want, and he can dual fist it. So you can have blowtorch do both. Yeah, it doesn't match. The green kind of clashes his yellow and his red, but hey, paint it if you want. That'll work. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't done so, I would love to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I am just over 300, and I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has taken a chance on my channel. I definitely appreciate all of you. Thanks for your comments, and I'll talk to you guys next time.